While the holidays are supposed to be happy, there are so many struggling to make ends meet. 12 million people who lost their jobs during the pandemic will lose their unemployment benefits the day after Christmas. And more Alabamians are filing for unemployment. Last week, nearly 9,300 claims were filed. That's a jump from the previous week. At our worst, back in April, nearly 107,000 claims were filed. Our Sydney Stallworth shows you how to get help if you or someone you know is struggling.
The effects of the coronavirus pandemic are going to linger long after we get a vaccine, and a lot of people have been impacted financially. Here at the Huntsville Assistance Program, they'll help you pay your bills, but they say as the holidays approach, more and more calls are coming in.
We do so much more besides just paying a bill for you. We do quite a bit of investigation into what is happening in your life. How can we better help you to not have to come back again and anytime real soon. We can help you find a job.
Whether it's with food or bill assistance, Huntsville Assistance Program has a long list of people to help, with about 50,000 names in their directory. Although the organization isn't an emergency assistance group, people in desperate situations have been calling.
People are calling and they are in a crisis situation, emergency situation where they say they're about to be evicted or they're about to have their utilities cut off, and we are not
an emergency agency.
Right, we're not an emergency agency.
I met with Huntsville Utilities to see what people should do if they find themselves falling behind on their bill payments.
You should always pick up the phone and call your utility. Huntsville Utilities are certainly no exception, because we'll do whatever we can to work with you through that.
On December 26th, around 12 million people are expected to lose federal unemployment assistance unless Congress can agree on a new stimulus deal in the next few weeks.
Through this situation, we have learned to expect the unexpected. We are talking about over a month from now, so in terms of people that are worried about federal aid, they have time to make those decisions. We won't make a decision before then that I'm aware of. We have not discussed doing that.
Putting the Valley first, Sydney Stallworth, WZDX News.